I'm Punjabi-Johnson, head of identity content at HuffPost.
And I'm Noah Michelson, head of HuffPost Personal.
Welcome to Am I Doing It Wrong, the show that explores the all-too-human anxieties we have about trying to get our lives right. All right, Noah, this is the fun one. Are you thrift shopping wrong?
So I first want to say that I've had a cold, so this is why I sound like this.
It's sexy.
Thank you. And if you hear me coughing throughout the episode, that is also why. But a little secret is that when I was in 12th grade, I had an internship at my local paper, the Racine Journal-Times in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And my final assignment was to do a big story about anything I wanted. And I did one on thrift store shopping.
That's
This was
amazing.
1996.
Love it.
And it was just starting to be really a big thing that teenagers were doing
Totally.
back then. I mean, 30 years ago now. I did it. My brothers did it. And my friends did it. I loved it.
Mhm.
So I've been thrifting for 3 decades.
Okay.
I think I'm good at it.
Okay.
But I feel like I can always learn more.
That's right.
So what about you? You love thrift?
I love thrift
Yeah.
so much. I talk about, what I'm wearing that's thrifted that I got for $7, but I'm pretty sure I'm doing it wrong. I'm just an amateur out here being sloppy and thirsty at the thrift store. I don't really know how to look for something that's quote unquote high quality, that I can take care of. I want to take it more seriously because I do think it's the responsible thing to do.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, luckily for you and for me and for all of our listeners, we have Emily Ruane. She is the head of shopping at HuffPost. She came on for the online shopping
Yes, we
episode.
love her.
She's been on a couple times. She is going to school us on thrifting. So you're going to do it right by the end of this episode.
Thrift me up, Emily.
Emily, thank you for being here again. We love having you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with this question. People were asking me when I was saying we're going to do an episode about thrift shopping.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what the hell is the difference between thrifting and vintage? So just like very succinctly, what is the difference?
Besides, you sound cooler when you say vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was a time when vintage implied older stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It does still sort of imply that, but the olderness of it has evolved because now the early 2000s are older.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's maybe a wider scope of what would be considered vintage in terms of the chronology of it. But it generally means that something is just it's more curated.
Right.
It's been looked at by some sort of buyer, sorter, picker, whatever you want to call it, reseller, and deemed special enough to separate from the stream of unwanted clothing that is just constantly flowing.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And that reminds me of when Gen Z's called boys to men oldies or whatever.
I know.
Yeah.
It made me crawl into my coffin
I
and
know.
just turn to dust.
With
yeah.
Boys to Men on the headphones.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so as we know, there are so many reselling sites right now where you can buy thrift online. So that's why people are wondering, can we come back to that IRL experience? Do thrift stores and vintage stores still sell good stuff, or is it all online?
I think it's very much still available. There's more clothes than ever in the world, obviously, and it's all very readily available. The notion that it's all getting picked over by the resellers, I want everyone to dispense of that, because you might not be looking for what the resellers are looking for. You might be looking for 40 yellow t-shirts for a Halloween costume, or you might be looking for a pair of oversized cargo pants from the 2010s or something like that.
Yeah.
Or you might be looking to find those Prada heels before they get to Depop, but it's definitely really possible to do that in a brick and mortar setting.
Yeah. I know that stuff I donate, even some of my great stuff that I don't need or want anymore, I'll take it to a Buffalo Exchange or something rather than sell it online. I'm old school like that. I want someone to touch it and enjoy it,
Yeah, definitely. So if we're going to go to one of these shops, and I think I'm even thinking of not a Buffalo Exchange or somewhere that's been curated, but I'm thinking of a real thrift store. What I grew up with, the Goodwill. We had one called Value Village that we would go to.
That sounds fire.
And these were charity shops, Salvation Army, which has its own issues with queer stuff. But, what should we be doing if we're going to go to one of these? Is there a best time to go to one? Is there a day that they're restocking? Do we want to get there in the morning? What have you found in your research?
The advice I think you'll hear a lot is just to get to know your local store.
Right.
And go regularly. You don't even have to go and spend 2 hours there every day, but just poke your head in and look and do they have visibly like new things kind of on display that they maybe didn't have like a week ago or like a month ago? Because I think sometimes you'll find that these more like out of the way places, like the stuff will just kind of like sit there and it's like not turning over frequently. So I think you want to like look for evidence that the inventory is like changing, and it doesn't involve taking a million years to do that or anything like that.
Right.
I have seen on some of the like big box, I'll call them, like Goodwill and Salvation Army, they do have they're all different kind of regionally, but at least I know in New York, for the Goodwill bins store, they tell you on the website, like, we refill the bins every morning. So so some of the bigger operations will, I think sometimes, depending on where you are, have more detail about their putting out new stuff, like cadence. But if it's an independent store or like your local store, I think it's good to just like talk to the shopkeeps and like, just even poke your head in the door to see if the display is rotating.
I think if people really get into this too, it's like a lifestyle. It is the kind of thing where like they're going to stop on the way home and just look, or spend, they've got a half an hour, they're going to go, or they're going to go with their mom. And that's the time that they spend with their mom every week. I kind of love that.
I also, just to add to that, I romanticize thrift shopping a lot. Like, I'm one of those annoying people that's like, I wonder who this belonged to, and what's the story behind this? And I love kind of inheriting something that feels really amazing. But I get exhausted. I never spend 30 minutes. Like, I'm always in there for like 3 to 4 hours. My eyes are watering from like allergies. Like, it is hot chaos. So help me. What should we bring with us? I'm never prepared when I see a giant thrift shop. I want to go in and I just like live in there for 3 hours.
Are you bringing gloves with you when you go?
Not usually. No. I would say, so like the bins that I was talking about, it can be good to bring gloves to those.
Yep.
I mean, it's like a Goodwill thing specifically, but I think that probably some other like of the larger chains operate a similar setup where like the stuff that goes into the bins, sometimes it's stuff that has been at Goodwill and has not sold. So it's like going back, or a lot of the times what ends up in the bins is stuff that it gets to Goodwill or a larger chain thrift store, and it's like a little bit too gross for them, because the sorters at the big chain stores are like, they're very cautious, and like if anything looks like it has severe damage or like it's really dirty or there's evidence of pests like visibly, they're just going to put the whole donation like in the trash. Okay. Or if something is just like really visibly not clean, I mean, obviously like the things in thrift stores are imperfect, but sometimes maybe there's just like literally dirt on, and they're not going to put that like in their rack. So that stuff will get sent to the bins.
And the bins are like, you're literally just...
And you're digging through it. You're physically digging.
There was a thrift store in Minneapolis when I was in college in the late 90s. It was called Diggers. I was with my roommate, Ben Mook, and I haven't talked to him in 20 years.
Shout out to Ben.
Yeah, hi, Ben. He was digging through and he pulled out a cardigan and it had vomit on it. And that's when I learned. I was like, if you're going to go in the bins, you don't know what's waiting for you.
You don't really know what's waiting for you.
And it could be something amazing, or it could be a sweater covered in vomit.
Yeah. So I think you'll see more crusty things in those. When things are not on racks, that's a good, I think that's a good litmus. When things are not on racks,
watch your back.
You might want to think about wearing
them. I love that.
Good one, Raj. But yeah, generally if things are hung up, which like they mostly are.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on like your comfort level.
Yeah.
I was definitely like texting with my like other diehard thrifting friend. Her name is Kelsey, and she has like a brand where she does a lot of like reworked vintage stuff and new stuff. And she was like, I've definitely just bought stuff from the thrift store and like worn it home. And I was like, I know, but yuck. It's for some people, it's like yuck. But I was like, samesies, like I've done that.
I can't do that.
Yeah, it's it really depends on your comfort level.
I think I'm not a gloves guy, but I'm a Purell guy.
Yeah,
so after I've been through there, I would just use a little hand sanitizer, and I'm probably good to go.
Yeah.
Anything else we should bring with us? Possibly.
Oh, like equipment wise?
Yeah.
Or wear like, at sample sales, I'll sometimes wear like leggings so I can put things over.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. I think that totally is like a good idea. I would actually say like less is more, because depending on how sort of organized your environment is, like you don't want to be like worrying about like where your bag is. I'm again like in a bin situation, or even like in your average like Goodwill, you don't want to be like, oh my God, like my purse,
Yep.
I like to just be free and clear.
Yes.
Your phone, because maybe you want to like look stuff up on eBay or take pictures or something like that.
Right.
And then if you're doing really like functional shopping, like if you're looking for a specific piece of furniture or like a specific garment, like the tape measure, I think is your friend.
Very smart. Yeah.
I got some good advice from this same friend that I mentioned before about like when you're thinking about your measurements, you don't necessarily need to like know your like bust, waist, hips, but to measure other clothes that you already own that you like the way they fit.
Oh,
nice.
Smart.
Yeah.
So like if you love like the fit of that like one like boxy, like oversized button down, like measure that. Like don't worry so much about like your actual body unless you want to be in like bodycon stuff, which is like respect.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I have this one skirt that I own that I feel fits me really well, and I bring it to my tailor to alter every skirt I own just like it.
That's
I'm like,
match it?
yeah, I'm like,
That's
just here
so
it is,
smart.
Do
match
this.
it. Yeah, because everything else
That's
makes
so
me look like
smart.
assless or like something, and I need the perfection of that one skirt.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of
Measure
it.
that skirt the next time you go thrifting,
Okay.
or like commit the measurements to memory.
Well, I think that that's a good point too, is that when you thrift, things might not fit exactly right, but because you're paying so much less for it, you can get it altered. You can spend $20.
And if you have a
You
good
know,
person, I don't know. Sometimes
can
in the
do
suburbs
magic.
you get seamstresses and tailors that won't charge a lot and do magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So I
true.
think that it sort of widens what you can buy, which I think is great.
I had a funny conversation with my friend Kelsey Parkhouse, who I mentioned to you guys before about buying a project,
Mm-hmm.
which again, that's something that not everyone has a threshold for. Like,
Right.
sometimes you will find something that's like an unbelievable gem, but it needs like a lot of work. And it's like, are you really going to do that?
Yeah,
That's a good point though
To
too,
be
because
honest.
I will buy stuff and I'm like, they just need to be hemmed, and they sit in my closet for 3 years because I don't want to go to the tailor,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's stupid. So like you have to weigh whether or not you're up for a project or not.
Totally.
Yeah. And if the item is like really worth it.
Yeah.
All right, we have a question from Lily.
Okay.
What are the best kinds of items to thrift or buy secondhand? I always like to get sweaters and shoes. You tend to be able to find good qualities and materials, but is there something we should be looking for that's usually a steal if we see it?
This is like such a great question. I have my own personal hot takes. I feel like I got some hot takes on this. Or like leather.
Oh.
I love. I have
Leather.
my favorite leather jacket is thrifted, and it's so much better than the crap that's out there now. I don't really wear a lot of animal products, but I can't let go of it.
Yeah, well, so a couple things on like the animal topic, but yeah, my friend Michael Zweig, who's worked in the secondhand industry for like a really, really long time, and he has like an amazing collection. He was the one that said leather, any old leather, like 40s, 50s, 60s, like,
Wow.
especially if it was manufactured like in the US or in Europe, the version of that you would be buying at retail is going to be like so much more costly
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
than the version that you're like finding at the thrift store. That does apply to like shoes, outerwear. Yeah. And like also just like the wear you can find on an older leather piece is just, it like just can't be replicated.
It's just so worn in that
Yeah.
perfect way.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I was going to save shoes for last, but like, guys, shoes is very polarizing.
Oh.
I
have to say it's the only thing I don't like to buy. It's just psychological.
It
I
kinda-
don't want
me-
someone's
I-
shoe funk. It's the only thing.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I literally bought like lingerie, but not shoes. it's everyone has their weird
Which like
thing. Yeah.
I can, because sometimes like innerwear is outerwear.
Yeah.
Like on one hand, you can find like really incredible quality footwear at like a really
Yes.
good price because, I think it's fairly common knowledge now that the quality of a certain type of item made 30 or 40 years ago can be better than the same type of item made now. I can't say that across the board because there's like too much minutia there, but if it is like a good brand, my friend Michael that I was talking to mentioned Doc Martens, specifically older Doc Martens. Like if you can find those
What a
thrifted,
flex. Yeah, those sound cool.
they were and still are at least partially made in England. And this is also not to rag on international manufacturing whatsoever.
Sure.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
can I just say PSA, international manufacturing can be of amazing quality.
Right.
The Doc Martens tip, I was like, oh, I'm filing that
That's
away.
really
That's
smart.
like a really good one. And so an older Doc Marten is probably, before the manufacturing changed in like maybe the 80s or 90s. If it's like one of the made in England styles, it can be like a really good find. So like, yes, some shoes, huge grail, definitely.
I will say though,
Yeah.
so I love Reebok pumps.
Mm-hmm.
My dad wouldn't buy them for me in the 80s. And so now that I'm old and I have money, I buy them for myself.
Yeah.
So there's some pairs that I buy that are vintage.
Mm-hmm.
Even maybe that means 5 years at this point, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a pair that had never been worn,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but the sole was coming off because
Yeah.
shoes often, especially if they're glued, like
Yeah.
sneakers, they just break down after a while.
Yeah.
And so you have to be really careful. It can look like it's in pristine condition.
And then it's just like
It's just
floats apart.
just disintegrates.
I do
That's-
just say about shoes though that like I'm a little squeamish about them, but sneaker resale is the hugest like industry
is.
ever right now. And
Mhm.
people will pay so much money and for good reason.
Yeah.
And I've fallen down a YouTube hole of like refurbishing sneakers
Mhm.
and how wonderful you can make them look.
Mhm.
Definitely.
So I mean, this is the big money.
And I just put like an insole in there, and I don't think
Yeah.
about all the sweat that might have come before
That
me.
might
I
have
mean,
come
you know,
before.
I want to ask you too about
Yeah.
we were talking about leather,
Mm-hmm.
and you were saying you like to buy leather because you don't actually have to, like, no new cow died for the leather.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same with fur. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people will say I wouldn't buy a fur coat unless it was
Unless
secondhand.
it's like secondhand.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
smart. Yeah.
Which is interesting because then you're not contributing to it,
Yeah.
but you
yeah.
can still be part
But
of
you
it.
can still like rock it. I love finding like a wacky or like artistic like logo t-shirt.
Oh yeah, me too.
That is like my personal greatest. I feel so silly being like grail. But I have to shout out like a couple of resellers that do this really well, like
Okay.
Chickies Vintage and like
Yeah.
Intramural, who I follow on Instagram, and I'm like so thirsty for. Like sometimes like these like 80s and 90s t-shirts, just like the graphics are like so good.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the weird old like Philharmonic or something like, or like the, you know, New Orleans Marathon or something, you know,
I
it's just
love
like,
I love those.
Yeah,
I
those are
romanticize
so
them as
fun.
well. And
Yeah.
concert merch.
Yeah.
From the
Old
80s
concert
and 90s,
t-shirts.
like
yeah.
So
you're
good.
you're the coolest person if you have one of those on in
Yeah.
good condition. All right, so how do we check for quality? Like, what are we doing? Do we bring a
Mhm.
magnifying glass? Are we
Mhm.
smelling them?
Oof.
Like,
Yeah. So I think point number one, greatest point of all, is like the sniff test.
bring a bed bug dog. You know, a little
Yeah,
beagle.
that's right.
Oh my God, that's actually like such a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sniff test, it's like really going to tell you so much. I actually did like a scientific experiment for you guys. This skirt that I bought on eBay, which avoided the sniff test because I bought it on eBay,
Right.
arrived to me like reeking of mothballs.
Oh.
And so that's another way in which brick and mortar thrifting is going to like help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna like see the item and there won't be any weird surprises when it arrives in the mail, and like no shade to eBay ever. But yeah, I was just like, oh my God, this is it just like really reeked of mothballs. But I hung it outside for like a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm pleased to report, because I smelled it this morning, that it's a little less stinky.
Sunshine is kind of magical, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like you can put anything outside in it.
and
Yeah.
vodka too.
Yes. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
yeah.
I have like a whole list of like household cleaning agents.
We learned that from Patrick.
Y'all
our-
listen to the
yeah.
laundry episode again after you listen to this if you're a thrifter, because
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
turn to like
It
brush up.
doesn't, but vodka gets rid of odors.
Yeah.
It's like a miracle.
Yeah.
Also, if you drink it, it makes you happy while you're cleaning.
A sip for you, a sip for your skirt.
like
Yeah,
mothball
exactly.
skirt.
Mothball teeny.
But yeah, like for like damage check. Oh yeah, so sniff test. And no, also, you know, if it fails the sniff test and you love it, like, you know,
Yeah.
there we have our like cleaning solutions, but like kind of per what I was saying before, if anything is like visibly like pestilent, like it's
Mhm.
not going to end up at Goodwill,
Right.
because they don't want
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
That's like a big problem for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If like suddenly there's like bed bugs in the whole Goodwill, they're stringent, you
Yeah.
know, about that stuff. So I think you can also shop with like a degree of confidence, and also just like use your eyeballs to like
Yep.
look for, you know, if you like see critters on something, I would definitely
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't
read
hurt
it.
to look at the seams and
Totally.
do a little
Mhm.
check. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have, unfortunately, the last time I was thrifting, I found this dress that made me look like pow, pow, pow. And I was like, yay! And then I found a big stain on it.
Yeah.
And it was so sad. And I think they put it out there knowing that whoever knew how to take the stain out would
Yep.
be fine.
Yep.
And you gotta be
Yeah.
honest with yourself about that too. Because I thought about buying it and like going on YouTube and finding out. But if you're not going to commit to taking the stain out, don't waste
Again,
your time.
do you want a project?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people do. Also, I think, do you want to take the risk? I mean, again,
Right.
if it's like $14
Yes.
and you can afford that, it's not going to break your budget, maybe you just buy it. And
Yeah.
you know, you might not ever get to wear it.
Yeah.
Because it's just, the stain will never come out.
It's just, yeah.
But you like that. It's like you're going to buy a scratch off ticket, or you're going to buy this skirt that you love that has a stain on the crotch, and you see what happens.
Yeah. You can dye it.
Yeah, you can dye it.
You can embroider.
Does that? It looks so cool.
You can embroider over it.
Yeah, a patch on it.
Okay, these are great ideas. I'm gonna go back and see if they have that dress.
I bet you they don't. Sorry, Raj. Out of luck.
I hope it's still there.
I mean, that's the magic of thrifting. You find something, and you're like, this, and it could take several hours, but you're like, this was made just for me, and it's so magical because then you feel. I get really self-righteous about when I'm like, ooh, this has been worn a few times, and I'm saving the planet.
Can I make a quick interjection
Please.
on the several hours thing? Because you guys were asking about what to bring before. I would say lots of time.
Yeah.
That's a huge, huge thing. And something that I think in the variety of people that I spoke to in preparation for this episode, it's just, you just have to have a lot of time.
Yep.
And you really have to prepare yourself to spend a lot of time. It's almost like browsing at a thrift store or going into a thrift store when you only have 20 minutes to be there is a exercise in frustration.
I call it thrifting blue balls. I've done that. When your friend wants to hit it 5 or 6, I've done this. And she's like, ready to leave. And I'm like, no.
Right.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started, love you, babe, on my husband or my family. It's I'm just gonna pop in, and everyone's like, "You're lying to me," when we would go, my husband and I would go, and I would be like, "Yeah, I'm just," and he's like, "Are you almost ready?" I'm like, "Yep." Yeah, definitely almost ready.
You're
like, I'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's too magical of a place.
So yeah, it's really just that's my biggest piece of advice, I think, for anyone that wants to thrift well or thrift successfully.
Yeah.
Give yourself time.
Can we haggle in a thrift store?
Okay,
People
great.
were asking about this.
Great question, guys.
Yeah.
I would call these takes hot because I asked my friend Kelsey, I was like, do you ever? She was like, no.
Okay.
She literally, and then she goes, that's weird. But okay, but also this is a judgment-free zone, so I don't want anyone to feel, but here's I feel like Raj can come up with a good little rhyme for this, but if you're outside.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to haggle.
Let it ride.
Let it ride. If you're outside, let it ride.
Yeah.
This is why he's my podcast husband. Yeah.
If you're within 4 walls, stall.
Yeah.
We should write a children's book about thrifting. This is
so
awesome.
You're saying basically a flea market environment, something like that.
Garage sale.
Yeah, they expect haggling.
Yeah.
But if you're in a Goodwill, brick and mortar, the price is the price.
Yeah, if there's windows and doors, if someone is employed there, if someone is paying employment taxes to have people do things, it's there is some structure to that business. So they're probably not going to be open to haggling. And I think someone had also asked about if there's damage to something, maybe you could get it off.
Stained.
If it's stained, that's I think in the thrift store environment there is sort of the blanket as is policy.
Oh, okay.
I'm also just follow your bliss if you feel comfortable asking. It doesn't. Yeah. But I think the likelihood of someone being willing to haggle with you is much greater if you're outside.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to kind of the condition of things.
Yeah.
How do they clean these items? Because I actually have zero idea. And
I don't think they do they?
They don't.
Oh,
that's what I thought.
They don't. There is a disinfectant spray that some places will use that they use the exterminator hose to spray on textiles and stuff like that. But I don't think that's by any means a universal policy.
Right.
That's why I think it is on the donating end very important to donate clean clothes.
I have never donated anything without washing it, or it's been new. I hope other people have the same decency.
I feel like most people with the wherewithal to have excess clothing and to organize it for donation are probably doing the same thing. I think you get into less clean territory when the donation is happening in a way that someone didn't have control over. If they've passed away.
Right. That makes sense.
Or I can't think of anything else.
This is why I wouldn't wear something home with me. Because that personally, I'm just I need to clean this.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
don't know.
This is not related to just thrift, but my husband knows that I have a rule about new clothes. You know, sometimes you buy something new, you don't have time to wash it or whatever. If it touches my jibs, I wash it. That's what I say. And if it's not going to, if it's a jacket, I don't care.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. It's just like, if it's going to touch my parts.
But I don't think
any part.
I don't think most people wash new clothing, even though they say you should.
Yeah.
But I don't think most of us do.
I don't think people do
I think
either.
sometimes I'm just like, am I really washing this? Like, it's been through so many like steps and things and da-da-da. I don't want to say that it's more important to wash new clothes, because it's definitely important if it's important to you to wash thrifted clothes. But like, new clothes are probably subjected to like just as much random, like questionable, unknown like things as like a thrifted item.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think like generally you can assume that like thrifted stuff is clean because it probably got donated clean.
Yeah. Probably.
Like, level set it to to your detergent smell, to your like level of cleanliness. It's just best practice, I think.
Okay.
What are some other red flags that we should be watching out for when we're at a thrift store, or things that like you would never buy secondhand? Like, you know what I would never buy secondhand? Beauty products or toiletries. And I've seen some places.
They ever have those?
I've seen some places that do.
Wow.
And that's just me personally. And I actually know some people, that's how they can afford those products. And I get that.
Yeah.
But I would be worried about that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that, Noah. I might buy nail polish.
Okay. That makes sense.
I'm thinking about like the one thrift store that is near my sister's house in the Philly suburbs, and they've had some good nail polish over the years. But
is it red, white, and blue?
Oh, I'm so excited to shout this out.
Please.
It's called New Life.
Okay.
It's in Glenside.
Listen, Philly, if anyone
Philly
is in Philly or Philly suburbs, best thrifting that I've experienced anywhere.
It's really good. I mean, I think that's, not to go on a total tangent, but like, the suburbs and like the outer regions of this nation, or this great nation, are your friend when it comes to thrifting.
Or rural.
Yeah.
I mean, small town Wisconsin, they have the best thrift, and it's not picked over.
Yeah. Yeah. I really need to go on a pilgrimage with you, Noah.
Yeah, the Midwest.
When Noah comes back from visiting his family and like talks about what you've seen. I don't really buy electronics. They're often available, and I'm sure that there are people out there that are more like handy than I am that have like greater success with just navigating that. But I feel like there's too many like unpredictable factors there, like just the functionality of it, like the age of it. I would even like kind of zoom out to say like anything that's like heavily functional, like I mean, we've talked a little bit about like strollers and like baby equipment and stuff, and just like potential for like safety recalls on those things.
I was reading about that, where a stroller that's 10 years old might have been recalled, and you wouldn't know that if it was just at a thrift store. So buying baby stuff can sometimes be dangerous.
I mean, certainly like I know that for some people, like affordable thrifted baby and like children's equipment can be like a real necessity. So like obviously no shade to it, but I think if you maybe have the option to like exercise more like caution in that like regard, it's probably on the safer side.
Or do the research. Pull it up and take a look at what you're about to buy. If you can.
But I think electronics, like just they're again as like a functional object and something that has the potential to kind of like, if it's wired incorrectly, to like
catch fire,
to veer into dangerous territory, or like do things to the wiring, like in your house even. And also like, I know, again, like I think that thrift stores are like very clean and great places, but like I've heard some horror stories about critter friends like nesting.
Hanging out inside.
It's like a sort of a known thing if you're on Bug Reddit, which I'm unfortunately also on Bug Reddit. That they really like electronics.
Wow.
and like appliances and stuff.
I also have heard too, like old dishware can sometimes have lead in it or things like
it's like
that.
my favorite stuff to buy.
So you just kind of have to be careful. Or maybe you buy it and it's decorative and something that you're going to display but actually not eat off of. Or maybe it can't be put in the dishwasher or the microwave. You just don't know. So you have to be a little bit smarter about what you're buying.
Or that's the stuff that you like keep on display. Tessa was telling me she's like a big vintage collector and like lives in LA. So like very jealous. But her like vintage barware, she just keeps out. She doesn't really like serve off of it or anything like that. I would also say like anything nonstick, like do not, because like the nonstick coating gets really worn away. Again, going back to the functional thing, like any kitchen stuff, like really cooking stuff that you're gonna really like use to cook on that's like very worn. I would just like steer clear, and especially because like the nonstick coating can be like bad when it starts to disintegrate.
So I heard the one.
Were
you going to say
no,
talk about
ahead.
cast irons?
No.
Okay, I was just going to say that like cast iron, like refurbished cast irons are huge because you can reseason them and they're like brand new, and people romanticize them because the old ones from like 200 years ago cook really well.
Yeah.
So cast iron, I have to say,
that
is
one is a good one.
Yeah.
One thing I just thought of is mattresses.
Oh Lord.
So one of my really good friends, Emily, another Emily, in college,
awesome.
she bought a mattress because she had moved into a new apartment, didn't have very much money.
Yeah.
And it was by the window. It rained really hard and it got wet and it had been filled with urine. And it didn't really smell like it when she bought it, but it
then
like
the rain released the urine.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so we all had to go over and help her get rid of this like urine-filled mattress. So again, I think some people, that is where they need to buy a mattress. I understand that, but like, give it the sniff test.
Yeah.
Be wary of mattress. They can be hiding things besides bugs.
Yeah, like totally.
Urine.
Can you give us any tips for donating? I have a rule that every time I buy a new article of clothing or pair of shoes, I try to take one thing out of my closet.
I love that.
Yeah.
I live in the city. There's not a lot of room. Plus, like, I don't need to be hoarding shit at all. If I'm lucky enough to get a new thing, someone else should get a new thing. So how should I donate responsibly, whether that's like cleaning something before or, just any tips you have?
Yeah, donate stuff clean, because like as we know, it's probably it may not get cleaned again.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like out of respect to like the other people in the ecosystem. So if you're like looking to donate to like a charitable organization, if you want your clothes to kind of do good in some way, I would like go directly to said organization, like go to your Goodwill or go to your SPCA thrift store. Also, shout out to Wagging Tails in Rockville, Maryland, the SPCA thrift store, which is like my personal favorite.
I'm just imagining a place with all dog clothes.
That'd be amazing.
I'm sure that's not what it is.
I think they do have some dog stuff, but no, it's mostly human stuff. And
Lovely.
It's just so good. A lot of those like parking lot bins that are like everywhere. There's nothing like wrong with those, but there's a good chance that those are going into like the for-profit resale stream. Which again, I mean, if you've got clothes to get rid of, like just pass them on, don't like keep them around. But if you're like, if it's ideologically like important to you that they go to like a charitable organization, like the bins are not always going there.
I read an article about that. And they were like, most people think if you put it in a bin, it's going to a charity. And so often it's going to for profit. And they actually, a lot of them are sneaky in that way. They want you to think that.
Yeah.
Because then they get your clothes. So, I like the idea of actually taking it directly to the place you want it to go to.
Yeah.
To your local charity,
if you can do it.
Your local church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if there is one like available. That being said, like, what do they say? Like, oh, the best camera is the camera that they always have with you. Like the best donation place is the one that is the closest distance to you. So like, because the flip side of that is being like, waiting until you have time to drive like an hour to like the local church or whatever. And then the stuff is just going to like collect dust in your house. So I'm like a big fan of just like getting it like out the door.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Same. I do want to talk about like being a good person. And
Let's
the ethics.
Talk about that. I mean, I think the ethics,
I want to be a good person.
No, the ethics of thrift is a real thing. And I think that we should just spend a little time about that.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard some people say that like you shouldn't thrift because you're taking away items from people who actually need it at that price.
Yeah, educate me on that because
But what are your thoughts on that?
I'm also not a Rockefeller myself. So please give us the real. Yeah.
I talked to a couple people about this and like I think we can probably all agree that there are like so many clothes in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I think this question probably would have looked really different before what we know as fast fashion was such a common and available like thing. Because arguably now you could get something for cheaper like at Old Navy or even like Shein. That same item might be the same price or even more expensive at a thrift store.
Right.
So I think the sort of the notion that like a thrift store is like the only place to get affordable clothing is like in 2025 is a little bit like that's just kind of not the case anymore.
And like you were saying, a lot, I'm not going to name names, but some of them are charging a lot for these clothes and for fast fashion.
I think there's also the notion that like, that thrifting should be like reserved for maybe under-resourced people is like very stigmatizing. And, I spoke to people who have like personal experience growing up having to thrift and that being a source of stigma, and like, being the kid growing up in like thrifted clothes, I think there's definitely someone that would be like, oh, that's so cool, you wear thrifted clothes. But if you are someone who has to wear thrifted clothing because that's like the only thing that's like affordable, and you know, everyone else at your school is wearing like all the cool new stuff that I don't even like know what that is. Like, you know, that's like not a good feeling. So I think it's like important. It's important to, I think, normalize thrifting as something that is like available to everyone, because you don't ever want anyone to feel like they're having to shop this way because of a lack of like resources.
You're right though. There's so many clothes out there. Like,
and that's the other thing too, like environmentally. Yeah. It's a good idea to be donating and buying from the stream, because there's it gets harder and harder though with fast fashion, because stuff doesn't last as long. You know, the quality isn't there. Things fall apart after a couple wears or washes. But I think it's a good idea just for our planet.
Yeah. I do have to say about fast fashion that like I have found myself, first I was like, how dare they put this Forever 21 dress back on here, like whatever. The shirt I have on right now, it's a plain black tee. It's from Uniqlo. I've thrifted it. It was $7. It was probably like $14 at Uniqlo. Yeah. It's my favorite. It fits me like no other. You guys are going to see it on the show many times. Right. Like it fits me better than any other black tee I have. It just works. So I have stopped being like, oh, there's fast fashion here. I'm giving this fast fashion several lives. And it's not going to end up
a good
in
thing.
And that's important too. Like I love a good find, like in something from the 80s, Valentino shorts or something. But like this is important. I'm trying to do good and look good at the same time.
And you do.
I think for someone our age, guys, 40. Sorry to blow everyone's spot. Like the experience of like thrifting in high school versus thrifting now is like kind of jarring, because there's like so much more fast fashion like in the mix.
And they want it. They want to buy the fast fashion sometimes.
Yeah. Any given person that's thrifting is looking for something different than like the other person. But like, to your point, Raj, there's like a discourse of like bummedness about like all the fast fashion that's there. But like, you know, it's just part of the ecosystem now. Like it's just part of the clothing environment. And like, that's an awesome Uniqlo shirt that's like only 5 years old or whatever. That's like, embrace that stuff and give it like a second life that it will like benefit from.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful place to end this, I think. Emily, thank you for being here. I learned a ton, and we really love having you on.
And I really want to go thrift shopping right now.
Same. Let's get in the car. What is it? Come on, losers. We're going thrifting.
Yes.
Love that.
And now it's time for Better in 5. These are the top 5 things that we learned today.
All right, first things first. The most important thing to have with you when you go thrift shopping is time.
Number 2, get to know your local shop for the best times and days to score big.
Speaking of scoring big, heavy hitters when you're thrift shopping: leather, cashmere, silk, or boots in good condition.
Yep, grab them. Number 4, if you find something you like, check for holes and do the sniff test.
Sexy. And number 5, thrifting is good for everyone and for our planet. So get into the habit of buying and donating.
Okay, Raj. So after all that, have you been thrifting wrong?
Yes, absolutely. Charmingly so. No, I think I love, as you said, I love thrifting, but I think I was doing it wrong because it is just about instant gratification for me and like, ooh, cute. I'm not really sure if it's going to fit. Like I'm just jazzed in the moment. Whereas I think the smart and responsible thing to do is to find out if this piece of clothing can stay with me, if I can take care of it, if it can take care of me. And so there's not a lot of like clothing ending up in a landfill somewhere.
Being a little more intentional.
Intentional. That's it. What about you?
You know what? This is one of those episodes where I think I've been doing it right.
That's right.
These don't happen that often. So when they do, I want to celebrate it. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, since I've been doing it for so long and I really do enjoy it. I don't do it as much as I used to because I don't have the time. Yeah. I don't want to spend 3 or 4 hours. I'm in New York. It's a more cutthroat here.
Yeah, it is.
You have to get out in New York to do, I think, really good thrifting. Yeah. But I love it. And I'm so glad we did this episode. It seemed like a quirky, kind of weird episode for us. But I thought it was really useful and a lot of fun. Me too. Anyways, until next time, as long as there are things to get wrong, we're going to be right here to help you do them better.
Dress me up in your love, babes.